Hey, what's going on, growers? It's your favorite underground gardening YouTube channel here, Grow It Easy. I see we're approaching 200 subscribers and might even be there by the time this is uploaded. I just want to give a quick and big thank you and let you guys know I really appreciate the support. Without further ado, today we will be discussing how to maximize yield in a limited growing space. We will talk about a few techniques as well as amendments and recommended products. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so your lights are the heart of your grow. If you have weak lights, you will have weak plants and lackluster fruits and flowers. You want a light that can fully cover your grow space, whether that's a 2x2 or a 5x5. You want to make sure that every foot of space is illuminated strongly, and you will want a light that can deliver anywhere from 700 micromoles per meter squared to 1,000 micromoles. You don't want too weak of a light because you'll end up with wispy weak plants, and too high of a photon density will have adverse effects and may damage or even kill your plant. You will want to increase light intensity with age, as seedlings will require very little light and may be damaged if you start your grow with full intensity. By the time you reach flower, you should be at full strength, and you may even want to move your lights closer, but never closer than around 12 inches, or you might heat stress or even bleach your flowers. I recommend an 18-hour on period and 6 hours of darkness for photo periods so your plants can rest and focus on root growth at night. Although I do recommend a 24-hour on cycle for autoflowers just because their lifespan is much more limited and every amount of photosynthesis contributes to new growth. Moving on, we have your nutrition. A strong, healthy plant requires a strong, healthy feeding routine. If you'd like a full nutrient breakdown, I do have a past video that I will link in the description below. However, for now, let's focus on what problems most growers run into when attempting to increase yield, and that would be deficiencies. The most common plant deficiency, especially when it comes to growing in cocoa coir, is magnesium and calcium. You never really want to see your plant showing deficiencies because by the time you notice it, it likely has been going on long before, which will ruin your yield. So the best plan to have for them is a preventative care. A CalMag supplement should definitely be in your regular feeding schedule. I recommend feeding once a week of advanced nutrients CalMag and or Epsom salt feeding of about 2 tablespoons per gallon to avoid salt buildup in the rhizosphere, aka root zone. Another problem growers run into is an overall nutrient deficiency. Especially in late phase flower, your plant will need that extra boost to finish strong, which is why I recommend a high quality base nutrient that will support your growth all the way up into flush. Next, we have new growers kryptonite: training. Training is the act of manipulating your plant so that new unexposed growth is now exposed to the light and can fully develop. There are several types of training, including low stress training, which is just tying down or bending down branches so that new growth is exposed and can catch up to old growth. The reason it's called low stress is because, well, it's low stress, meaning it doesn't stunt the growth of your plant and you will likely see your plant perk back up by the end of the day. However, there are other very effective training methods such as topping, which is cutting off the main stem of the plant as you see on the right to create 2 to 3, sometimes even 4 different shoots that will turn into flower/fruit sites. Now, this may seem terrifying to new growers, but this really can boost and even out your yield for your grow. This is considered high stress, and your plant will need to recover before you attempt more stress training. And don't even think about switching a flower until your plant is fully recovered, or you just threw away half your yield right out the window. But if you can successfully use these methods, especially in tandem, you will see your yield double, if not more. Up next, we have the act of defoliation. Now, this also has some known techniques such as lollipopping, as you see on the left, which is cutting off the bottom 30 to 50% of your plant so that only the growth exposed to light remains. You should be able to see straight through your canopy all the way to the wall. This will allocate all those resources being used to keep that part of the plant alive to new growth. There is no point in keeping the parts of the plant that isn't exposed to the light, because they will just drain resources and not fully develop, making small, undesirable products. Defoliation also increases airflow, which greatly decreases the chance of powdery mildew and the growth of other pathogens that thrive in high humidity, low airflow environments. You should also get rid of any big fan leaves that are blocking flower/fruit sites, as this will stop that site from receiving adequate light intensity. Coming up next is support. Now this should be pretty self-explanatory. If you want full heavy flowers, you're going to need to support them in some way. Your plant can tell how much weight each branch can hold and will often stop growing branches that are weak and not supported very well. You can use a trellis net as you see on the left to support each branch, or you could use something similar to a tomato cage like you see on the right. Both have their benefits and cons and will depend on the grower to determine what to use at what time in the grow. I will say that trellis nets are often used early in the grow during veg to really take advantage of all that unused space in your grow and make that canopy much more even like a bush. Moving on, we have our major player, microbes and root health. I'm sure most people have seen the image on the left, or at least something similar. Beneficial microbes and mycorrhizae can turn your regular grow into a super grow. Benefits include disease, pest, and drought resistance, all the way to increased growth rate and almost single-handedly doubling yield. I recommend a recharge, which you can find for relatively cheap on Amazon. Great White is also a known favorite. I recommend applying Great White directly to roots during germination and transplanting to ensure your roots are getting inoculated. I will also give you guys my secret recipe. Most growers do not know about fish poop. This stuff is actually amazing. It's tapioca fish fed with a specific diet to maximize microbes and fungi that will aid and take your grow to the next level. You can even use it on soil and coco coir. Seriously guys, if you haven't heard of this, it will change your garden. Our next tip for increasing yield is CO2 supplementing, guys. If you want to take your grow to a commercial level or even near it, you need to supplement in some way. This can include organically with the Excel bag, which is just fungi, as fungi breathes in oxygen and releases CO2. Or you could go a more direct method with the CO2 canister, which can evenly release CO2 throughout your garden in a much more controlled way. To be CO2 enriched, you need to have your ppms above 800, and it's best if the CO2 is falling in some way onto your plants. So hanging your nozzle/bag over your plants will be optimal for CO2 uptake. Lastly, we have the only thing we cannot control directly: genetics. If your strain just isn't a bulker, then it simply won't bulk, and there isn't much you can do to fix that. I recommend knowing your strain and picking one known for having huge yields and following the tips on this list. Indica strains more often than not will be heavier and denser than sativa, and that's just the way it is. Not to say sativas can't be bulkers, it is just more common than not that they are not. Alright, that concludes today's video, guys. I hope you found the information handy and will use it in your next or even current grow. I really appreciate feedback. Leave your video recommendations below. I try and check comments every day and respond to any questions I can. But besides that, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. And if you want to see more content like this, drop a subscribe and I'll catch you on the next vid, guys. Peace.